Defects. All the other builders were like, defects, and I was like, defects. Welcome back to another episode of Grab the Trace. It's Mikaela and Lachlan. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem.
It's always me.
It's always us. I love that for us, though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at us. A new week, a new episode.
It's feeling pretty good. Good on, I think we're trying to upload these on Monday. So feeling good on a Monday. Mondays are really good. You know what? I wouldn't even have seen
Mondays
you today.
Yeah, Mondays
That's what I was about to say.
Mondays are golf days.
Yeah, for those not in the know, I'm trying to go pro, and I've sandbagged myself pretty aggressively over the last year. For those playing along at home, my handicap currently sits at a 34.7. You might be like, well, that sounds extremely low. Aren't people meant to play off zero handicap? Well, I guess you're correct. You're correct, but I'm also awful at the sport. It is a sport. I carry my clubs. My heart rate gets up, maybe a little bit too high, but we'll work through it. Mikaela, how do you think you've been going from now until the episode releases? We're doing future predictions.
Looking good. Where were we
Oh,
at?
you're looking good. Okay,
looking good.
That's a really
feeling
good one.
Good. No, it's like what, end of March?
Oh yeah, this will be the last week. No, wait. It depends when I edit the other one. They're welcome to the first week of April.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Oh, I would have just had my 2-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations!
Yep, thanks.
Hang on, let me see if I can get it to clap.
Bada bing. Thank you. We've got like Easter to look forward to. Got Anzac Day. Got my husband's birthday.
It's all coming up, isn't it?
April's a bit of a fun month.
Yeah, so we didn't just wander off a little bit. Then I'm glad there's no video to edit this week.
We're back on.
I reckon by the time we finish the Defects series, we'll be back to having video, which will be pretty nice because
that's fun.
The studio has evolved quite a lot, and I even have a plan for a 2-camera setup. Where we each have our own dedicated camera instead of having to wide zoom on both of us. You'll be able to see all the new furniture we've got.
Oh, yeah,
the
cute.
pendant light we've got, which is throwing some beautiful light.
It really is. It's a bit of a vibe. The curtains, like everything.
We're even getting out of summer now as well. So we're well and truly out of summer, but we're getting into the colder months. So you're going to be seeing a lot of new looks that we're experimenting with.
I have to admit, when we started all the video, that was winter. So I was wearing like jumpers.
Yeah, but I hadn't quite ticked over yet.
Oh, okay.
I was still progressing.
I'm like I feel the cold.
What are you doing with your body right now? I mean, no one can see.
You can't see.
You're kind of like just arcing your shoulders up.
Yeah, like I hate the cold. So
really?
I rug up.
We are now in part 2 of our defects. We're now moving inside. We've talked about the prep. We've done
what to do prior.
What to do. We even accidentally said what to look for inside a little bit,
sorry.
but that's fine because someone wrote the notes and someone didn't read them, but that's fine. We'll just move past it. So let's hit the music and then we'll start talking about some internal defecting. Welcome to Grab the Trace, a home design podcast here to help you deliver your next project to its full potential. If you're looking for some tips and secrets whilst building a new home, renovating, or even just picking some window furnishings, stick around, pull up your plans, and let's grab the trace. Everybody, the introduction may be a little bit choppy because we've got some redacted information. Mikaela's decided that she's going to become a gatekeeper with both bits of information or just one of them?
Both. No one needs to know that.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to record myself saying the word redacted so that I can play it over the top of the audio. Quiet on set. Redacted. Okay, there we go. So now in the introduction, Pete, you will hear, this is so meta, you guys are going to hear me say the word redacted. Mark it again. I've got 2 takes now. Mikaela's lost it. So this is the interiors checklist now. So we're just going to
Mikaela's losing it. Okay, so we're just going to talk about
I'm just going to steamroll
things.
through. I'll pick up the slack and just keep rolling through. So
slack.
The slack. I guess the thing we'll kick off with and something we maybe didn't run through last episode was when you are doing your defects inspection or you're having a look at something, the main thing, if there's a project where there are a lot of defects and maybe it's not been the smoothest of sailing, I've definitely observed a kind of tactic where sometimes you will be ushered and or kind of guided through a defects inspection in terms of when and where you're seeing things. So
you'll be hustled
you are well and truly in your right to, as politely as you can, just explain that you would prefer to have a look independently just because you want to take it at your own pace. Because
or a little like life hack, if we're calling it that, is go with someone. I would always recommend, and not going with like your significant other that you're doing the house with.
Attached to,
take the third like if you and your husband or you and your partner are going, take a third person.
Yep.
And it's that third person that's like, I call them the goalie. So they're the one that talks to the builder, and I would take like my dad, for instance, and I'd be like, you just talk to the builder and like you go where they tell you to go and like guide them, and then
I'm just going to have a look at all the others. I love that.
Always take a third party to do the goalie work for you.
Yeah, because it's not even so much that they may be pressuring you or they may be rushing you through things. It's just you might subconsciously feel like you're being rushed.
Yeah.
And
or
that can make you feel a little bit like overzealous with things or 100%. Panicked, and you might miss things.
Or before you walk through the door or before you go and meet the builder, whoever you're meeting, come up with a game plan in the sense of like, okay, there's the three of us. Dad, you're going to like play goalie and look at like just take the builder's attention. Or your one job for this defect is like, can you take the video? Can you do the video walkthrough? And then I'll be the one asking the builder, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And like taking all the like little photos. Or if one person concentrates outside and your job is like the external stuff and I'll do the interior stuff. Like as long as you come up with a game plan, it's just a lot more seamless. And then
love it.
Videos for me, it's not so much like proof on later that you can show the builder or this or that. It's actually like you just forget. You forget so much and like, oh no, what does that look like? Or oh wait, what pendant went where? Or I could go look at the video. You've always got that video proof to look back on and like cross-check yourself and cross-check your own notes 12 hours later, 24 hours later, because you will forget.
Years later, before you furnish it. Was it always like that?
100%. You've got so much information that you need to collate and go through, and video and photos will help
processing it
solidify
all
that.
In an hour inspection ain't
and
enough.
Always floor skirting walls, do like a whip around the room, and then don't forget your ceilings. You always miss your ceilings in videos because you're always doing it from like eye level of what you can see. Always do your ceilings.
And go slower than you would think, because if you whip around especially if the lighting's not on or it's dark,
pause it.
It'll be blurry. Especially with like the iPhones, they've got like the rock and reel thing where you can kind of go frame by frame. Really helpful for golf stuff, but also defects.
So game plan. Go with another person.
I love that. That's great. So what we're going to do is we're kind of just going to go one by one and list things. Some of these things will more than definitely have been things we talked about last week. There may even be some doubling up here. It was very late when I was putting these all together. It was a real treat. I'll give you that much information, trying to like remember all these things. So
do you just want to like
let's
one, two?
I'll
go like first.
1, 2. Yep, you go first.
Make sure you open and close all the drawers and doors, including cupboards, everything, and like little things for me as an interior designer, especially your kitchen, your bathroom, any joinery, soft close. Do they have soft close? Make sure everything has soft close. Make sure your push to open's working. In terms of joinery, that's the first thing to go and the first thing to break, and usually one of the things that the builders like, because soft close is like the thing you put on at the end, it's the first thing that gets like missed. So check all your doors, do they soft close, all your drawers, all your push to open cupboards, even like your handles, are they fixed properly? All about opening and closing everything that can open and close.
I love it. The one I've got here, which kind of expands on it, like I guess it says open and close all windows, but I guess it kind of includes external doors as well. Another thing to note is if you've got, and I'll just jump in, if you've got like site inspections or meetings throughout the build process, you don't just have to save all this until then. Like if you can let them know something's an issue before it's an issue or before it gets to this stage, you can save it. Like say your sliding doors are going the wrong way. Like instead of stacking to the left, they stack to the right. If you let them know while they're putting the doors in or the most recent inspection around then it's so much faster to fix because they don't have to get the plaster back out. They don't have to get the carpenter back out. So kind of go through and open everything. Make sure if you've got winder windows, they go up. If you've got louvers, they shut and close. Normally even sliding doors, like they're not like a massive monumental effort to like push and all that kind of stuff. I think
what you touched on as well is such a huge thing that you don't have to wait till the defect walkthrough to note a lot of these things. You're going to be going to site probably if you're doing an extension or a reno, like you already live there. But if you are going to site, do you know how much easier it is to get something fixed if the scaffolding is up, for instance? And you're like, oh, that's not the right colour of the roof or the gutter. I don't like that colour on the gutter.
Yep.
And they're like, well, all the scaffolding's down, so...
It just means that you can get in sooner. If and most people's goal is to just get in and get it done.
Yep.
If you can have a defects rectification period that's a week as opposed to a month, and all it takes is you noticing something on site. Even if sometimes you'll see people like driving past their house and they don't even need to go on site and they're like, oh, those window door frames colours aren't right.
Yeah.
Like there's things you can see.
Absolutely.
And, just trust yourself. So go from there, M-Dog.
Check all the taps. Make sure the water drains away, hot and cold. So, obviously hot and cold for your water is a big one. And make like laundry, your kitchen, your bathrooms, like everything. Also, I don't know if this is like internal, but like your hose cocks, your taps outside, make sure that they work.
I've had a few projects even where... and it mainly happened on one where it was like the super old, like the individual hot and cold taps, but they'd mixed them.
Oh, and so hot came out of the cold and cold came out of the hot.
And like on these beautiful like brush brass like tap mixers, the C was H. It was like hotter than the sun.
Oh, goodness.
And like it's not too much of an issue, but it's like sometimes you get like the progressive ones, but the main thing you talk about all the time is making sure it's consistent through the whole house. So you're not walking from the master ensuite down to the guest bedroom and all of a sudden you've accidentally scalded yourself instead of running the cold water to brush your teeth.
Yeah. You want all of, whether you're doing hot and cold, progressive, integrated mixes, they're all the same direction.
Yep.
And they're all doing what they should.
Banger. One I've got is, and it's kind of like as we were talking about the paint. So it's looking at walls from different angles.
Yeah.
And like being able to like be a little bit savvy in terms of, is this an actual painting problem? Is this a plastering problem? Is this like a actual framing problem?
If it's still a defect, it's a defect, but it's
being able to convey what is wrong to the builder. Like, because you might be like, oh, I'm looking at it, it looks like a little bit sheeny, patchy, but like then let the builder know and he can kind of direct how to mend it from there.
Yeah.
Mainly just looking, especially under like where you've got built-in like desks and stuff, like where potentially it's a little bit hard to get access, just to see if there's like clumps or bobbles of like paint and stuff.
I don't know if it's included in like, if you've put it or included on like the paint work, but like silicon and no more gaps for me. Like
I don't know if I have,
Silicon for me is a big one that always gets missed.
Yep.
So whether it's like stone or like cabinetry tops or whatever it is, like everything needs to be no more gaps.
Yeah.
Like everything needs to be siliconed or no more gaps, and it needs to be clean and finished. So all of your like your architraves around your windows and doors, that needs to be like filled, and you don't need to see like the lines or the cracks where all the timber
Mikaela
meets.
definitely didn't just point at something in her house.
I just pointed.
We've just highlighted our own defect.
Yeah, but again, those things like over time it just swells and gets bigger. So if you can see it now, it's only going to get worse. So pick it up now.
Pick it up now.
Yeah.
I actually think I just did 2 in a row. So do you want to do the weather strippies?
Yep. Make sure all the doors have weather strips. That's a big one. Any external doors should have weather strips. We don't want all of that crap from outside coming inside.
100%.
And we don't want a cool breeze on our toes.
Oh, yeah. I think especially if you're listening in a Queensland context or maybe even anything in Australia, it's just the wind-driven rain.
Yeah, and
especially.
bugs as well.
Bugs is a good call.
Yeah.
It even helps from like a little bit of an acoustic point of view as well. Like it just goes from being a clear air gap to something that's got a flap or something.
Yep.
Like I love it. It's my favourite thing to specify.
Yep, your turn.
My next one is like I touched on bringing like a little step ladder or something, or if the builder's got a ladder. It's maybe a little bit tougher in some like 2-story ones, especially like getting up into the roof access places. But even as we were saying with the phone, if you can reach your arm up in there with the camera with the flashlight on and just have a little whisk around just to see, is the insulation installed neatly?
Yeah.
And when we say that, we're not expecting it to be like a work of art. Yeah,
like,
100%.
Just
is it
make
there?
sure that it's there and
like,
it's consistent.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not just clumped in a corner or...
Yeah, it's where it's meant to be. Like you will see things like there might be bundles of insulation, but that's because they've had to move it around a downlight or something. Like
horror story, but I've seen one where like defects, they've like gone up, had a look inside and like Macca's bags and
the old
food.
V can.
Yeah, like food
Food's
has actually
rank.
been left up
For
there.
like snakes and rodents and stuff. That's
possums
rank.
and like, you just, again,
Extra
it's just
house,
a quick
mate.
little video showed that there was like someone obviously when the builders were up or whoever was up there, obviously it was like had their lunch and like left all their shit
Yeah.
there.
Well, I guess
So-
that's the other thing is when the builders hand the site back over to you, it is meant to be in a, it's
like-
all on whatever's in the contract, but it's meant to be a neat and presentable place.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be,
Cleaning up rubbish.
no.
Like
It's not.
it's
not
also good to note as well. I don't know if this is in the defect or a part of it. In terms of like having a neat and clean space, there's actually a part of a lot of contracts that differ and vary about the removal of rubbish on site.
Yeah.
And whose responsibility that is.
That's a good point. It's
And
not
a
on
lot
there.
of them is actually like the responsibility of the property owner. So they have every right to just like
Yeah.
dump the crap there.
Oh, we had a situation where when our skip bin out the front was being taken away, they actually put stuff back on our land because they're like, that's not accepted waste. That's not accepted waste. And we're like, that we didn't put that in there. It's
Yeah.
just like people going for walks, like throwing crap in.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, fair enough. That's all right. That's why you take
That's
it to the
fine.
dump.
That's
It's
fair.
fine. Like you get to the end of the process, whatever works. All right, hit us up.
Get up in the manhole, check all the insulation. Oh, we already did that one. Thanks so much.
Thank you for double down.
You did two in one. Exhaust fans work and are connected in the roof space. That's a good one.
Oh, you're right. I did do
did.
it too. See, man, I must have written this so late at night.
You did.
So the exhaust fans are a great one because I think under the actual Building Act, you don't need to have an exhaust fan exhaust
just go-
externally. It
no,
can just go into
the
a
roof cavity
well-ventilated
space.
roof cavity.
Yeah.
And a well-ventilated roof cavity is just a roof space with like a whirly bird on it.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal. Like
No,
we
it's not.
always prefer to have things directly exhausted, but just have a look.
Yep.
Especially if
See-
you like end up storing stuff in your roof, like don't put something that is
Well, is
subject.
there is there kind of, again, if that's what it says is reasonable, as they can just put it in the roof space, but as a property owner, you would prefer that it's vented out. Could you argue that? Could you ask them to vent it out?
I think it's
Is that a
something
part of a
you could probably
defect?
include it in your contract. Like this is something maybe if you do have it stated in there, like I think people, or even like you might ask for 2 whirly birds or something, like make sure you get what you're getting. And it's definitely something that they would probably charge you more for, but if it's your intent of what is going there and everyone knows it and it's not done,
Makes sense.
defect.
Okay. Right.
This next one is like just have a real good look.
This
at
is a good one because
the
this
windows
one-
and your doors for glass that's scratched. Because usually what they'll do is they'll put like a protective like Elmer's glue covering over it. But just have a look because, and this is another thing, like look at it from different angles, like we're talking about with the walls, because some scratches are deeper than others.
For me, I don't know, again, if this is more like multi-res because it's such a large precinct, but I saw so many, especially if we did like a dark aluminium frame for all, like, you know, the big like stacker slider doors out to like an outdoor patio or outdoor space. Those sliding doors, because obviously it's like bare floors for so long and concrete and dirt and crap, and everyone's got steel caps on and they're going in and out. The base of that slider, like sliding door track, gets scratched to billios. And I mean, like, I've seen that it looks like it's 10 years old and it never cleans up. It looks awful. So just something to like keep in mind. Because that sliding door, or wherever the big sliding doors go out to, or stacking doors or bifold, whatever you have, out to your outdoor entertainment area, that cops the most traffic in a site, because everyone keeps going inside to outside when they're like cutting tiles, or like so many trades go in and out of there and it gets absolutely battered. So definitely have a look at the track and see if there's any scratches on it, because 9 out of 10 times it's
going to have something. Alrighty. You're where are we up to then? So that is the tiles pointing, which is I think what we talked about last episode in terms of wearing the thick socks.
Oh yeah.
Just to like have a check of see if
make sure
something
it's level.
catches.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to hit the vanity one next?
Yeah, check under the vanities to check that there's like drilled holes to get the plumbing through, and if they did a good job.
Yeah, it's like that's definitely Lachlan English. I can see
was
the
like,
face you're pulling. It's
what?
more like
Sorry, English.
if you've got something
Maybe you
that's
should
not
have read that out.
yeah, if it's not a to set you up, if it's not like a P trap where it goes through the wall, like if you've got an actual waste pipe and you've got a floating vanity or something, like
don't.
make
That's
sure
my
there's
pet
an actual
hate.
like
You know I
boxed
hate
out
that.
kick thing rather than just the pipe. Have been out on an apartment defect inspection and the pipe's literally just dropped under the floating vanity, and like you could
Even
just
the
see
box out. What? Why?
yeah. I would just do
Why?
a kick. Also, like it's
No,
tough.
it's like if you're doing a wall-mounted vanity, as an interior designer and I dock it, I would expect that those pipes go in the wall.
Yeah, good call.
Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why they have to pop under the vanity when it's a floating vanity. No one wants to see pipes or no one wants to see a tiled box out.
Yep.
Hideous.
It's not good.
Or just build out a whole false wall.
Yeah.
Like the length of the vanity.
Oh, literally.
Or
So then you can do
something.
that P-trap detail we were talking about. Like,
That's what I don't do.
It's
Wall.
excellent.
I don't do wall.
no, because then you get all the extra storage space under it
Yeah,
with like
I'm
your drawers.
always for a kick because
Oh,
more
100%.
storage. I need more makeup storage.
Alrighty, I think the next one's not as much of
Oh,
a...
shall I read it out?
Yeah, although instead of the word warped, maybe I'll change the word warped to level.
Okay, maybe you should just read it out. 'cause you
I'll
said
just
it.
finish the list. So, in terms of like all your cabinetry, make sure they've installed all the doors level, like not like skew if you're sitting down on the couch. You're like, that looks higher than that
Yeah.
for some reason.
That does annoy me when and it's just about adjusting the hinges.
And you know what? It is going to take no time for them to adjust it to work. Where I have spent hours fixing IKEA stuff trying to get it to
Takes
be
them
level.
2 seconds.
It's so frustrating figuring out which of the 3 screws you need to adjust. Do you want me to read them and you can like chime in just in case I
Yeah.
like set you up for failure again?
Yeah.
So this is kind of similar to the scratch thing, but when they're painting, just check all your door and window frames just to make sure there's no paint that's bled onto them. They should be taping it all up.
So you're talking about like aluminium to plasterboard.
Yeah, 100%, or even like your timber ones, like if you want that in like your normal finish or like anything, like especially actually timber frames. Like if you've got a timber finish, like make sure there's no overspray on the actual like painted bit of the frame or something. This is maybe one more that's more for your prep, but like if you've got an electrical plan that shows PowerPoint locations, make sure they're all there, especially ones you paid extra for, and that they're the right type and the right heights. Because sometimes you can get ones that are missed, or like you might have been like, oh, I wanted a USB-C one.
Yeah. Sorry, just on that, I think I mentioned it like right at the end of the last episode, and you're like, no, hold out.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say builders, one of the first things that get like value managed or cheapened is downlights. And I'm talking about the quality of the downlight. So again, I don't know what's part of like people's contracts, or when I did my own building works or renos, like I worked directly with an electrician, so I knew exactly what I was getting, but you just don't want to get like 6 months in and then be like, why am I changing all of the globes in this house? Like they've half blown, or they're like, you know, they're cheapy Chinese, like LED downlights that didn't last very long, or they're just not good quality, or the warmth of the light, like put them in and they're like all cool lights instead of warm lights. Like just double check that, because again, it might not even be in your contract what temperature lighting you wanted, and it's like now is the time to kind of say like, no, I want warm lights everywhere. Well, and what is what's the spec of those downlights? Like, and what's the warranty on those lights? Ask.
I've even seen the lights that are like the 3 color ones where it can be cool, neutral, or warm. Make sure that they're all the color you wanted them set to, because rather than you having to get up on a chair or a ladder and change them and putting fingerprints up there, get them to make sure it's set to what you want.
Because again, I know this is like, you talk to the electrician and they'll change it, and then you'll check it, and then they've put fingerprints all over the ceiling. So then the painter has to paint it. But like,
we do it all before the final clean.
Yeah, that's all their responsibility, not like, oh, that's okay. Like, you just change it and then I'll sign off on it. It's like, oh, now the painter needs to come back in. Like, everything needs to be done right.
Yep.
You don't have to like, oh, well, I got like the downlights I wanted, so I can put up with the fingerprints. Like, no, get everything.
Next one is, because you're trying to look at so many things so fast, sometimes you just walk into a bathroom, you're like, oh, yep, beautiful, everything's here.
Everything looks great.
Really do check towel rail like heights are where you wanted them to be. Like usually it's pretty easy in bathrooms because you've got the tiles to kind of like set it out, and you're like, oh yeah, a meter is like 3 and a bit of the tile I've chosen. Usually ones that get missed are like toilet roll holders in weird, like really weird spots where you have to almost like fall off the toilet to reach it, or it's too tight and you can't actually like turn in on it.
I've seen so many where the locations of the accessories. So like hand towel rail, toilet roll holder, robe hooks, towel rails, all of those, like, are they exactly where you wanted them? Because a lot of the time, like, the people who are finishing off these rooms and installing those fittings and fixtures, it's like, oh, well, okay, well, that makes sense. And they're not necessarily looking at what's on the drawing or what you've approved, or so a lot of mistakes can be made in those little finishing things. And then again, it's one of those things that they drill the towel rail and they put the towel rail in the wrong area, and then guess what? They've just put holes in your tiles.
Yep.
And then that's actually quite a large defect then.
Especially if it's a waterproofed wall, then we've got to get a bit... Yeah.
Exactly. Or they've just drilled your toilet roll holder into the vanity instead of into the wall. And then they've just... Now the joiner has to be the stonemason, the builder, the plasterer, the waterproofer, like everything has a flow-on effect. So... It's one of those things that it's actually a big deal. Those little accessories make a huge difference.
Well, and I think it's probably something that's a little more notable now that like the construction industry is like pretty tight on time and resources. It's like the whole thing of like measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
I feel like there's that much work going on at the moment that people are only having a chance to measure once, cut once, or like you've got people who are building cabinetry offsite that aren't even coming to measure.
Yeah,
because
and it's like
the lead times are so insane. It's like, okay. Yep. So your kitchen doesn't fit, so we're gonna have to go and do something else, or like you get charged a variation, or the builder does, and then it just becomes ridiculous. The next one is make sure you got all the plugs for your baths, for your sinks. If you're not doing if you've got the strainer ones, make sure you've got the right type of plugs, and if possible, make sure they're the ones that actually match or suit it. Like you don't want black bath plugs with a white bath, or
so fair.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell pretty quickly, and like a lot of those things just end up getting missed, or you'll be given like, oh no, you're only one plug for that double bowl sink, and it's like no. Like I have not come across one single double bowl sink that's been sold that has one plug as standard. Like sometimes you'll get two different types of plugs.
Yeah. Or no, it's not a plug, but your drains in your showers and wet areas.
I honestly thought you were giving an advertisement when you said it's not a plug.
Oh, no. I typically spec like tile insert waste just because it just blends in with the floor. But little things that once you take off that tile insert, they usually have a little stainless steel catcher. Make sure that those stainless steel catches are in there. So just pop off the tile insert waste, have a look, see if that catches in there. Because sometimes when their installer puts it on, or like the tiler puts it back, and these things get lost.
Might be checking it. Yeah. Oh, good call. The next one is if you've got like a shower or a tap, maybe it's just a shower. But I guess if you've got a gooseneck, make sure like the different settings on it work. Like if you've got a massage setting,
if you've got a pull out, kitchen mixer.
Yep, make sure like it works. Yours is like stunning, the one that you've got in your kitchen. Like just check all that stuff works, because all we're trying to do is highlight that these things aren't as you agreed, but we're also just trying to save you like time and hassle. Like it's so much easier to get it fixed. I think that's almost the blow of this. It's so much easier just to get fixed now
100%.
Than like sort it out later. Next one is one that maybe is a little more you can do not quite at the end, but like towards the end, is check all the door clearances match up and you've got the doors that you're kind of promised, I guess. Like the worst thing that can happen is they've had to reduce the size of a doorway or an opening.
Shaved it down
and now you can't get something in. Yeah. It especially happens where, say you've got fixed bits of furniture. Actually, you know what a great call is? Here's mine. So we have a media room and all the doors in the house are, I think they're like 870 or 920 wide. But we never looked at how wide the front door was, and the front door was 820. So we've had to bring every single piece of furniture in our house through the garage and then stand it upright like Ross and pivot it through two 90-degree bends to get in, because the front door is narrower than all of the internal doors. And we can't get anything through.
That's actually wild.
I had to disassemble a treadmill to get it through the doorway and then reassemble it when it was in. Like, I think that's as close as getting put in timeout
That's actually hilarious.
Oh my goodness, it sucked. So have a check of that just to make sure everyone's on the same page about when and why things changed. I think you definitely mentioned it, door stops. Yep. Make sure they're there to protect the wall, whether they're on the floor, on the wall, on a bit of cabinetry. Also check your privacy locks on your bathrooms.
Yep.
That
And
they're-
lock yourself. That's what I did.
Yeah,
I checked
actually,
the privacy.
actually lock yourself in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Like a prison cell.
Yeah, be with someone.
Be with someone, yeah. Don't build a house on your own.
Yeah.
That's why we need to bring the shepherd, the
Yeah.
guide, to come and help. Make sure all the like electrical provisions are there for like your dishwasher, your washing machine, your microwave. Usually if you get there and you're like, oh my goodness, my dishwasher thing's not here, it's under the sink. There'll be a cut in the side of the sink cabinet. Don't make a fool of yourself like I have. And then the final one we've got is checking that all the blinds and like fly screens, security screens are there.
Yep.
Usually when I'm talking about like the fly screens and security screens, if you have paid for CrimSafe, check that you got CrimSafe. CrimSafe is a brand. It's not like, oh, I drive a car, like I drive a Volvo. It's a specific brand because there are competitors that make security screens that aren't CrimSafe, but they're like a fraction of the price. So if you've paid for it, make sure you got it.
Yep.
And then also make sure that it's where you want it to be. Usually when you think of like, oh, I'm putting a security screen so no one can break my glass sliding door and get into my house, but the security screens only cover the operable parts. So when your security screens are shut, you will have a blank panel of glass with no screen in front of it. So
Hit that one.
yeah, honestly, I think it's just a visual deterrent. So that's
That's
list.
actually hilarious,
Oh,
though.
man, it's nuts, especially
the
with
point?
sliding doors. I don't
Wouldn't
get
people just
it.
be like, oh, I'll smash the other window?
Yeah, I don't get it at
What?
all. I don't get it.
That's a bit silly.
So that is actually it makes me really frustrated.
I get it for like fall arrest.
Yeah.
In terms of like the operable window, when you open it, you can't like fall through it for security. But like
Yeah.
someone can just literally.
Okay, I'll just break the other one then.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Sorry.
that's our internal defects
That was good.
episode. That's like a rapid fire list. I mean, I know we were talking about short and punchy episodes.
Yeah,
That was
I
about as
tried.
short and punchy as we can get.
We tried.
I mean, I definitely set Mikaela up to fail with a few of those
You
with my late night
freaking
English.
did.
I should have spell checked it. And you know what? I will make sure that
So
the
rude.
next and final episode on defects is spell checked before we run through it. So,
I might.
oh,
check
you might.
it.
Oh, my goodness. So we will reconvene. Let me actually, you know what? While we're here, let me just check what it actually is. So, what is this? So, oh, cool. So, what I've set up is we've got some examples of external defects, and then I've even set up like a little mini example defect list of like how you can communicate things are wrong without being like emotive or.
Oh, nice.
And like it might even have a few things in there that are like, oh, we didn't even talk about them. So. Thank you very much, Mikaela.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful episode.
Yeah, it
with a
has.
lot of redacted information at the beginning.
That definitely
And we will see you all bright and early next week, next episode,
Yeah.
for another installment.
has.
So
Yeah, bring it on.
1, 2, and 3.
Toodaloo.
We've come to the end of another episode. If you have any questions, reach out to us on our Instagram @GrabTheTrace. Following, sharing, leaving a review or a rating is the best way to help the show. Our opening and closing music was created by Robert Hellberg, and whilst we try to help as much as possible, this podcast is of a general nature and won't be able to take into account your individual circumstance. If you need personalised advice, you should engage a relevant professional consultant to help make the best decisions for your situation. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.